For those who don't know, and I bet none of you do, I've just made a film which is a big budget Hindi movie. It's a biopic of the youngest girl in history to climb Mount Everest. And does anybody know this story? Does anybody know?
Yes.
Just this much.
Not the film, the fact, the real life fact. Do we know anything about this girl? That there's a girl who's the youngest?
No, not the youngest.
She's from Andhra Pradesh.
She's from Telangana, yes. Anything else? Did anybody not know that we held the world record for the youngest girl in history to climb Mount Everest? I didn't know. But why is the hand like this? You can just put it up there. Right. So this explains the feudalism, the rampant media frenzy, interest around Bombay and Delhi. There are so many complicated issues under this idea that we don't know what goes on outside, that today's session, by the way, how long is the session, Edgar?
45 minutes.
Okay, good. So after half an hour, just ask me to stop and then we'll chat. So the idea that we don't know this is not new. Most of what goes on in the rest of this country, none of us are even told about it, and so none of us really make an effort to find out. Same with me. I got the script in my hand, and the first thing was I was blown away by how I didn't know. I consider myself to be extremely well read, extremely well informed, very political. My views are known, my ideology is known. I consider myself to be very well read. Current affairs, I mean, sport, NGOs. How the hell did it slip me by? So, it really gave me pause to think. And when I heard the story, that of a poor, uneducated, tribal girl. So any of these boxes, if you check, you can forget about any future in this country. Freedom for who? For a Dalit? For a woman in a conservative orthodox religious family? For a child who wants to become an actor instead of an engineer? What is this freedom? And so I thought to myself, she's a girl. A girl climbs Mount Everest. Unlikely-ish. A 13-year-old girl climbs on Mount Everest? Impossible. A poor 13-year-old girl climbs Mount Everest? How? An uneducated poor 13-year-old girl climbs Mount Everest? You're dreaming. And a tribal girl, where in her village, in Pakala, to go to the village fair is the biggest step you take in your life. To go to the mandi, what we call the mandi, is the biggest step. And then back back home. So then I said, okay, fine, I was asked to act in the film. I said, I actually want to produce this film. I want to make this film. And as it transpired, I also was directing this film. But before I talk about the sacred and the profane, the intent behind with which I made Purna, I think is most important in everything we do. We question our actions, we question the fruit of our actions based on our intent. Do I want to make this a mainstream film? Have I succeeded or failed? Do I want to make this an art house film? Have I succeeded and failed? Do I want to make this a film that appeals to children? Have I succeeded or failed? Etc., etc. So first of all, I had to fix for myself the intent. And I was very clear from the first day I read the script and took it over. I wanted to make this film for everyone. It's not been done before in Indian cinema, maybe with the exception of 5 or 10 examples. I wanted to make this film without any cuts for an Adivasi in Pakala, an Adivasi anywhere, an illiterate anywhere, a girl anywhere, a 13-year-old anywhere. I wanted this film to spread without subtitles. So I've had a Filipina woman seeing this film. I've had a tribal from Jharkhand seeing this film. Uneducated tribal, I should add. I've had in our focus groups 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids seeing this film, urban rich. And I've had 60-year-old urban poor, the mother of somebody's helper on somebody's farm. And everybody's got the film. Everybody understands it. Because deep in my heart, I know for sure that we are, cinematically at least, the most emotionally intelligent cinema viewing population on earth. In 2 minutes, we'll tell you, हाँ, ये hero है, ये villain है, वो लड़किया को कुछ होने वाला है, ये तो मरने वाला है. Done. We got it. We get it. So the literacy, the emotional literacy, especially in cinema, most of course on radio, is very high in this country. And so my intent was, this has to be a film you come out of and say, was I watching a big budget Hollywood film because there were all these drone shots of Everest? Was I watching an art house movie because there were scenes that played out which were written clearly like the heydays of the 70s? Or did I see a documentary? Because I can swear that girl's not an actress. She must be the climber. The way she puts on her carabiner and the way she climbs, this must be Purna. And it's with that intent, both the producer and the director agreed that is the way you should make this film. The producer was very happy because which is me, by the way, I'll be talking in this egoistic third person, but forgive me. So the producer was very happy. We said, "Sabhi dekhenge to kya hai? Paisa milega." And the director was ecstatic because he said the idea is for any person who makes anything in life for the world to see it. Even if it has to go out for free, a creator will say, I want the world to see it. I do not care how much money it makes. A true creator. So with that agreement, rather this, we started. And I want to take you through the journey of the director in this film and the producer in this film through 7 punctuations. It could be 8, could be 9, could be 12, could be 4. I've just chosen 7. So the first thing was the script. Here it was very, very, very clearly understood the director took the call. The director would determine whether the script worked or didn't. The director's creative soul would determine whether he or she, in my case he, is moved by the story. Does it work just at a visceral emotional level? Forget anything else. And so that's how the script was approached. Producer had nothing to say about this. Even if producer had something to say about it, the director would not have given him a chance. Because if it doesn't sing on a piece of paper, it's not going to be made by the director. End of story. Next, the recce, the locations where we're going to shoot this film. So the director said, I want this to be as close to verisimilitude as possible. And the producer agreed in a very slimy way, because he said if we go to the actual Purna's village, we'll get locations for free. They will welcome us there with open arms, and they will say, we're making a film about the daughter of Telangana, and can we shoot in this hut? Can we go to this pump house and this police station? And we are pretty sure, after speaking to the collector, that we would not only forget about the free part of it, it would be a cooperative population. Is always so much more fun shooting if anybody's made films here, as opposed to a hostile population with ropes and security and walkie-talkies happening. So both of us agreed that yes, we should try and shoot as close to possible in real locations. And so we did. The film opens in the real Purna's hut, which she has now vacated because the government has given her 25 lakhs after she climbed Everest, and so she's built a pakka makan, छोटा सा घर है पास में, करीब 100-150 गज पास में. She's built a small pakka house for her parents and herself and her brother. So we shot in Purna's real hut. The film naturally moves on to Purna breaking out of the village, going to a school, albeit a tribal school, a social welfare school for SC/STs. So we shot at the school. Here the producer kicked in and said, hang on, she went to 4 schools, we can't keep moving from schools. So we painted each corner of the school to look like a different school. So if we were shooting the kabaddi sequence, it was in another ground, because this school was green in color, the wall behind the kabaddi sequence was cream. If we were shooting an assembly, then it was light pink, that horrible pink you see in some schools, in government schools across the country, although the school was green. So by the end of, by the time we finished, the school was rainbow colored. And of course we painted the whole thing back to, what it was. Some parts of it they liked very much. The yellow they loved, so they said keep this. So, the canteen and things like that. So yes, in that respect, the producer said, guys, let's try and do 4 locations in one. Then she went and learned rock climbing in Asia's, one of Asia's largest standing rocks is a rock called Bhongir outside Hyderabad. I hadn't heard of it. Has anybody not heard of it? It's astonishing, no? This is a rock that's the largest standing rock in South Asia. And it's one of the largest in Asia. And when I say largest, Oberoi Towers, double that height. It is massive. 600 feet. To climb up with steps, it's a very friendly rock surface, 2 hours. To climb down, 2 hours. To run up, as I tried, 1 hour 10 minutes. To run down, 45 minutes. Minimum time to go up and down, 2 hours. Now, you're shooting on this rock. You have to shoot Purna, mid-rock, 300 feet. Nobody can hang on there, even with a Jhumar, which is an ascender, even with a carabiner, even resting against a rock face, which is burning, although we're shooting in Jan, it's at 40 degrees. After March, the rock shuts down till November. It's like 55 degrees. So this girl is stuck at 300 feet. We have a camera tripod taking a low angle shot of them climbing down. On top of the rock, we have what's called a jimmy jib, an arm that comes out of the rock face and tilts down, and the camera can show you where she's climbing. And then we have a drone. Drones are flying cameras that are taking side shots from far, from close, like Mission Impossible. And this girl has 10 minutes. She can't stand there for more than 10 minutes. So you have to capture this in 10 minutes flat. Now, there's one director, and he's also the producer. So there's no dividing roles here. So this whole thing, the director went to sleep. And the producer said, we are going to work on this like an army operation. Because we've been given 6 days to shoot an ASI monument. With the permissions and all that, because obviously it was a government, the girl climbed with the government. So those were things that were easy. She can't hold on for more than 10 minutes. Once she comes down, for her to go back up and then rappel down again is another 2 hours. We have from sunrise to sunset-ish 10 hours. But our crew therefore has to get there at 4, climb in the darkness, no lights, climb up the rock in darkness. I love the fact that there are no bathrooms up there. Yeah, I love it. Because you see and you go. There's no hanging around and dirtying the place. They've decided this is just, you go up there, see the fort and come back down. But for us, like, guys, whatever you do, finish it now. Because you can't go up and then you can't come down. It's going to take 2 hours. So they would hold till we had to shift. So we go up at 4, reach there at 6, start setting up, down, and the drones by 7, send her up. Don't send her, send another climber, do the rehearsals till 8:39, 9 o'clock, bring her down, 9:30 you start shooting, and then, buddy, you have to get that shot. You simply have to. So we say, we start high, then she rappels down, we take the lower shots, and finally we take her the first scene where she's exploring the rock face, we can go down for that. But when you're shooting down, the jimmy jib arm can't show, when we're shooting up, the tripod can't show, etc., etc., etc. This was, and I'm also extremely proud that this film had a gender sensitivity charter. So sexual harassment, there was a special panel. Nandita Shah from Akshara was heading the panel, not anybody from within the organization. I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. There were loos for women on every single location that we had. Portaloos for women that were cleaned every 10 minutes. I'm a hygiene freak, I'm a germaphobe, and so I wanted women to have to look forward to when they wanted to go to the loo, as opposed to dread it. So we had 2 portaloos for women, 2 for men, all of that stuff done. And that was also outside the precincts of the ASI, this thing. And so this entire thing was planned around making sure we had the shot in those 20 minutes, and those 20 minutes. So this was the producer's call. The director told the producer what he wanted, but the producer had to make it happen within the budget. After she learned rock climbing, she went up to Darjeeling. True story. The guy who taught them rock climbing, I presume I'm audible now because I've raised my volume considerably. The guy who taught them rock climbing went to Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar in charge of the initiative and said, "These guys are freakishly good." He said, "Yeah, so?" He said, "They could be mountaineers." Like, what kind of mountaineers? No, they could go up to 15,000 feet. So he said, "Fine, where should we send them?" He said, "Send to HMI Darjeeling, Himalayan Mountaineering Institute. Let's see what happens there." So Purna went to HMI. So we're in Darjeeling, and we've planned that we'll do Darjeeling and then we'll do this Everest parts because we're already there. We're at Darjeeling, and in Darjeeling, not only was the shooting relaxed because we were at HMI. It was not about chasing the sun or this, it was about the bare bones of climbing. How do you make a film on Everest without understanding what a Jhumar is? What is a carabiner? What can save your life? What are the gloves you wear at 10,000 feet and what are the gloves you wear at 22,000 feet? When does the oxygen start to kick in? You know, how do you actually climb through a crevice? How do you actually ford, because the Khumbu icefall, when you try and ford that, you have to have ladders, ice ladders and things, etc., etc., etc. What's up, a crampon, many things. It was all within HMI, under the shadow of Tenzing, his statue, his samadhi. So it was kind of spiritual, kind of wonderful. If you love the mountains as I do, it was just beautiful. It was also comfortable. So here the producer was quite chilled out. It was like, weather is good, Darjeeling is clear, except for one day. But the director was fixated, for no particular reason, on a shot of the Kanchenjunga. Because he thought, making a film on Everest, you should have the Kanchenjunga as an homage to, the above 20,000 feet mountains of the Himalayas. The director went for a recce on the first day in Darjeeling. Blindingly clear day. Anybody up in the mountains will know in January, we were shooting, when it's clear, it's like glass. Not one cloud. And Kanchenjunga was hurting the eyes. From Tiger Point, which is a place in Darjeeling, you couldn't look at it too long because it was glittering with the sun. Director was like, "Done. Tomorrow we start with Kanchenjunga and then we'll do the rest of the stuff." And the producer was like, "Yeah, it'll look good. I mean, it's not integral to the story, but it'll look good. Fine." Next day, fog. No Kanchenjunga. Director's like, and the producer, "Don't even think about it. Finish your shot, finish your scene. You know that mountain has got nothing to do with it. Get out of here." "Okay, fine, you're right. I guess it was a whim and fancy." And they shot the whole thing. Next day, someplace else, next someplace. One more day, the director remembered he had to go back to that location. Definitely Kanchenjunga. Goes back there, clear, 7 o'clock. Glass. 7:15 clouds, 7:20 fog, 7:25 rain, 7:30 pack up, go home. And he's like, "No, take one shot. He took the shot. Nobody could see the mountain. Quietly asked the producer, "Is it possible," I'm just asking, "on the day we're leaving, just on the way to this railway station, let's just quietly go via this point and have a look. And then we'll go." He's like, "No, that point is there. The station is here. So if this is going to cost me another lakh of rupees, and that's going to cost me 5 rupees. Please decide." Okay, fine. So Kanchenjunga wasn't done. So just as an aside. And finally, this is literally the cherry on the icing or the ice on the mountain. We decided to shoot Everest at 15,000 feet in January in Sikkim. So obviously you can't shoot on Everest. Obviously you can't shoot about 15,000 feet because my Bombay crew will die. Simple. They will just lie down and die. They take the cigarette out of their mouth, take the whiskey out of their hand and bury them. Don't do anything. So I was like, okay, first of all, Ladakh, after hearing stories of films that have been shot in Ladakh, I was like, guys, I don't know whether I want to do this. This girl has to climb. She's 13. My real actress is like this high, right? So the real Purna is a freak, right? There's no chance that any other 13-year-old girl will ever climb Everest without dying it before Camp 3. So I was like, I'm taking kids. I'm taking 2 kids up. I can't do that. Sikkim, full of vegetation, full of trees, oxygen rich, as cold, a lot of VFX work. VFX means visual effects, where you have to zap out the trees and keep the mountain, etc., etc. Fine, we'll work on that. But let's go to a place we can shoot. So from Darjeeling, all of us went to Sikkim. And another one of my preoccupations kicked in. Climate change in the 3rd week of January in Sikkim, no snow. 12,000 feet, some snow. 15,000 feet, decent snow, but on a hot day, gone. Can you imagine? Unthinkable in Sikkim's history. I've spoke to locals who were just 35 years old. They remember 10 years before that, January, you could not reach Lachung. It was like, sab wahan ja hi nahi sakte. Director looked at producer. Producer wondered what to do. Calculated to stay here another week. Agle hafte tak aa jayega. I'm like, definitely. Arey 20 January tak itna hota hai. Right now it was here, so I said I want to take a chance. 2 हफ्ते में तो हम भी भाग जाएंगे यहाँ से. Can't wait. It's going to cost me 65 grand a day to keep the crew here. Back to Bombay. So 80 people go back to Bombay. 2 things happen when you interrupt a shoot like this. One is you lose money, and 2 is you lose momentum. And the second M is much more important than the first. Because to recreate momentum is like trying to breathe life into a dead person's body. You have to awaken the enthusiasm, all that madness. So I decided not to wait too long. So every day, photographs of my local producers in Lachung, photographs taken, standing like this against some snow, hoping that we'll come. No. And the snow is gradually growing higher and higher, till finally I said, okay, right, now we can shoot, because he's shown me snow till here, which means with the melt in the day, it'll come down till here. And at 15,000 feet, we should have snow for the whole day. Pushed it another 3-4 days, got everybody together, pep talk, equipment on trains, trucks, the whole Karwa began to move. All the way up, back to Sikkim, Lachung, bone rattling, intestines left at some place, dentures, all. Just a few vital bones you're holding when you get to Sikkim. Now you get to Sikkim in January, and Sikkim is shut by this time. It truly is. So there's no hotel. Of course we know all this, I'm just making it dramatic for you. There's no hotel. There's nothing. So we have the keys to a hotel. We go and we open a hotel. And we move our kitchen staff. And we move our spot boys. But we still need heaters. Everybody has a snowsuit from HMI Darjeeling. So the producer is spending money like it's going out of style. Like he's at one of those bars and he's throwing money, snowsuits, yellow, and all that stuff. And at the end of all this, he's weeping every day. But he knows what he's in for. The director, meanwhile, is very upset. Why is he upset? Because every location that he had planned, which he had gone to see in October, he could see in January when we first went, before we came back. Now he can't see them at all. And Sikkim, everybody in Sikkim is saying, listen, ice collects on the road at night. In the daytime, our JCB will go in, clear it, you go wherever you want to, shoot Indo-China border and come back. Oh, great. Done. Ice at night, everybody is sanguine. That's okay, tomorrow JCB. JCB is parked there, no problem, fine. 4 o'clock the JCB starts, and the JCB clears all the ice by 6 o'clock in the evening. So, ice is gone. 4:30 the sun sets in Sikkim. I'm like, ice is gone, yeah. But it'll form at night again. Tomorrow I'll start again. I'm like, this is like Yossarian in Catch 22. You know, the ice forms, he clears it, he just keeps doing this, but we never get to shoot. Everybody's doing their job. Nobody's slacking. The JCB guy's waking up at 4 o'clock. So I said, guys, this is ridiculous. So on the third day, this is there in the making of, I'm standing, we can't go beyond a certain point. I'm back, the JCB is still far behind. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I as a director and a producer going to do if I don't shoot this? This is the last 20-25 minutes of the film. This is the Everest part. What the hell am I going to do? Green screen, back in Bombay, big green screen. Like, what is the expense? What is the VFX challenge? Can we even do it in this country? Do I have to go out? What's going to happen to my budget? I'm standing there, and then, for this I owe the director my life. He looks up at one mountain, looks up at the other mountain, the road is clear of ice till here, and it's snowbound for the next 20 kilometers. And he says, that's it, fine. Scene 29, 36 and 71 we shoot here. Scene 81, scene 12 in the flashback, and scene 96, the climax, we shoot here. And he begins to climb the mountain. He just begins to climb the mountain. He starts climbing, and he climbs for 1 hour and gets to about 16,000 feet, and stands there and looks at the crew. The crew is waiting downstairs like, "Wahan jana kya?" So he stands there like this. And slowly, disbelievingly, they start making the trudge. And for the next 6 days, we would wake up at 2:30 or 3, leave the hotel by 4, drive an hour, sun is up, 5, trudge up, 6, hands on hips, 7 o'clock, reach, start shooting at 7:30, 11 o'clock, fog comes in, 12 o'clock, you start shooting your other stuff where the fog won't show. The VFX guys like, no, Rahul, how can you shoot this? What will I do later on? Green screen, like, forget it. I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. 4 o'clock, nightfall. Back, 5 o'clock in the hotel, shivering, no heaters, heaters that are as effective as all night. You just hear this, gut, but the total net effect is you put one sock there and 8 days later, dry. You spit on the floor, 8 days later, you can kick it and it'll break and fall, move across the floor. I used to wake up at night gagging with the smell of urine because their bed sheets were reeking of urine. Do not ever go there in winter. I promise you, it's a nightmare. And to be a germaphobe, I had to throttle, kill, put phenyl down his throat, make him listen to Mariah Carey songs, just basically crush him forever, and then put that away. So that was the challenge for a producer and a director. And in Sikkim, really, I've never felt more happy that I'm both, because otherwise there would have been flaming fights. It would have been the director would have stood on her or his ego and said, I chose those locations, I can't shoot here. And the producer would have said, I cannot get back here at all, and the film would not have been made. So it was a classic example of how to be 2 in 1 is a great idea. So now let's go to how much time do I have for the half an hour? I'm done. Done? How long ago?
5 minutes back.
5 minutes back. Okay, 5 more minutes. We can extend this session if you don't mind. So 5 minutes. So let's quickly get to editing, sound design, VFX, editing, director. Producer fast asleep, chilled out. He knows the director has you can't edit for 10 years. The director would have loved to edit for 10 years. Every director loves to keep editing, keep asking, should I, shouldn't I? So he knew the editor had 3 months, the director had 3 months. 3 months to edit, show, re-edit, whatever, no problem. Sound design, all of that, no problem. Producers still fine, no problem. VFX. So what we did is, what we have is 171 shots from the top of Everest, which is unreleased footage anywhere in the world by an expedition, the last expedition to use GoPro cameras before the mountain shut down with the avalanche in one year and the earthquake in the other. It only reopened in 2016 after a 2-year hiatus. So we had made the film in 2015 end and 2016 beginning. So this new footage that has been taken presumably by expeditions that have gone, nobody will have seen anyway either. Those 171 shots of the summit, and from basically the last 800 meters, from 8040 to 8840 or 8100 to 8900, that last 800 meters we have footage of, and we have our Sikkim footage. To match this, I think, no, I'm pretty sure no VFX house in this country has ever done before. So we approached ex-VFX house. VFX people are like dentists. You go to a dentist and they do something and the bill could be 1,025. Or the bill could just be 85,000 rupees. It's like, why? No, we put a platinum something, and your nerves are going there and your children will forever be hearing impaired if you don't do this. Yeah, 85 grand, here you go. Whatever it is. You don't even know with dentists and doctors what the bill is. It could be cardiac surgery, don't worry, free. Free? Another heart attack. Or, what is it? Don't worry, it's 93 lakhs, but this NGO is given 63, you give 30 lakhs. 30 lakhs, 3 more heart attacks. Either way, you're doomed. So that's the thing with VFX. You don't know. So I go to 2 VFX houses and say 171 shots, matching falana dimka, ye wo. And one guy says, literally, I'm not joking, 18 lakhs. I'm like, jaan bachi to lakho pai. And the other one, 46 lakhs. Why? See our work. So I said, okay, both of you do one shot. This guy came, this 18 lakh shot was, let us say, was say 7 on 10. The 46 lakh one was 8.5 on 10. Now, is that 1.5 worth 2.5 times your budget? 3.5 times your budget? 2.5 times your budget. And the producer saying, the director saying, are you mad? You have to do this. We've come so far, you have to do this. This has to be done. And this time there was a full-on fight. The producer said there's no reason why they should go for 46. So director said, fine, try and bring them down to 40, because, come on, let's just double the cost. So the producer saying, what do you mean double the cost? It's 1.5, 7 to 8. You said 7, you said 8.5. If it was 3.5 and 7 or 4 and 8, I would agree with you. He said, look, the difference between 7 and 8.5 in cinema is massive. Can you reduce 46? Yeah, sure, no problem, we'll get back to you. 45.5. Please reduce it further. Reduce some shots. Director, can you reduce some shots? Okay, fine, done. 171 shots? Here, 169. Nobody's moving. Nobody's budging. So finally, the producer took the call that we should spend the money. Somewhere in the producer's head was also a great sense of pride that I have never seen an Indian film where the VFX is flawless, where it's been done by an Indian company, where it's been done, let's face it, for much less than what it would cost in California or London. I said, we got to do this. So Tata Elxsi was the company. Till today, the 8 screenings we've had of the film, and the film releases on March 31st, so we're having screenings. Not one person out of the 171 shots can tell which is real and which is VFX. Where the matching, where the matting, nobody. One guy said, that shot is, I said, that's a real shot. So that was really the one point where I know for sure in any other movie the compromise would have been made. Finally we come to the release plan. That's the director's fast asleep. In fact, the director's dreading it. All these interviews with the same question. Tell us the story of this film. It's been 16 years since you directed. Why so long? Everybody says, I'm fine, it's so different from this film. How come? So the director's ready now to answer those questions. He's sucking it up. 45 days of Benadryl or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's fine. But as far as the producer is concerned, this is his thing now. This is it. This is the time to make sure that dream, not money, of everybody seeing the film has to be seen. So we've had screenings in 7 cities for the very poor and the very rich, for the kids and the adults, to say, what's happening? For the foreigners and the Indians. And they're like, as they sit down, they're like looking forward to the story. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Greg, it's in Hindi. That's fine, you'll be fine. Let's move on. It's in Hindi? And he's gone. And then later on, of course, like, Greg, what do you think of the film? He's like, and it's a hard film also. There's child marriage, there's maternal death, there's misogyny, there's patriarchy. But this film doesn't swim through the Bechdel test, it flies through because there's no guy. There's my character who's from the background, but it's about this girl and her sister. And the film lives on that. So the release time, it's producer. But the producer is thinking, like, for example, I'll tell you, for example, when she summited Everest, she said, "Ladkiyan kuch bhi kar sakti hai." मैंने कर दिखाया sir, लड़कियां कुछ भी कर सकती हैं. So even before Dangal, this has been our line. That Purna said this, it's in the line. It's in our poster says लड़कियां कुछ भी कर सकती हैं. You're welcome. So I decided, how do you do a nice promotion around this? So let's get Zoya Akhtar, Barkha, Anushka Shankar and Purna. And let me moderate a panel about the journeys of the 4 women. Whether you like them or not, their cinema, their writing or not, these are 4 women who have broken many ceilings. Let's talk about it. Maybe some of them still face ceilings. And in those 4 journeys, Purna will be one of the journeys. So the whole thing, the whole session is going to be called Ladkiyan Kuch Bhi Kar Sakti. That will be the session. You know, or for example, I said this is a film that I really believe is all centered around this girl. So you know, the last day before a film releases, there is a photograph of some celebrity with the other actors, or somebody standing behind the poster giving a thumbs up or whatever it is, right? So I said, no, we're going to build a rock climbing wall, invite people to climb it. The wall will be the poster. They can design walls. So imagine if that was the wall with the writing and stuff. And so Purna will climb one side of the wall, and a very famous celebrity will be on the other side of the wall. And that's your picture. That's the release photograph. Like, oh, Everest, youngest girl to climb, because that's what will be written there, and that's the girl. You know what I mean? I get that. So that's the producer thing. The director couldn't give a damn whether it's a rock climbing wall or whether it's a standee or whatever it is. But the producer has to start thinking about these things because it's a special film and it deserves a special promotion. So that, in effect, is what I wanted to talk about. The sacred is what I believe directors are. Creativity is unfettered, unhindered by rules of commerce. And the profane is to be irreverent, if you look up the definition, to break rules and to just do. And so producers have to do that. And like, you know, yeah, great, but hello, we're talking about the real world here. I haven't met a single person who's seen this film who hasn't cried, Sanjana included. So something works here. So the 171 shots or the Sikkim or whatever it is, it just has to work here. Every film has to work or here. This is baat ki baat hai. This has to work somewhere here. And hopefully it does. So, but audiences never see anything good. But if they see what I call the cockroach in the film, they'll point out, sir, shirt was blue, then became purple. Yeah, they will always catch what's wrong. So if somebody says, the music was okay, the sound was okay, the acting was okay, film was good, I'm happy. As long as people don't stop and are jerked out of their reality, ye gana kya ho raha hai? Kamal hai. What the hell is this? So all of that thing. Yet, Salim Suleiman have done the music, Arijit has sung 2 songs, there's no lip syncing, and yet all of it, even to international audiences, I didn't subtitle anything. Oh darling, my heart is crying for you, that stuff that happens. Nothing. It's a song. Deal with it. Like they have Bollywood films and Hollywood films, that whole James Horner music, Harry Potter, all that stuff is so over the top it makes you puke. It's not that. it's our own version of creating a score to the film. So yeah, I mean, there is all that, but you know, that the producer didn't think about because the director wanted great musicians, and he got them, but they won't give me 1 rupee in return. I mean, I've sold my music rights for one peanut. Anyway, please, sorry. Please, you don't have to ask questions. You can debate, disagree, use the mic. Many never before things.
So has the teaser been launched on the YouTube?
Has the teaser been? No, nothing. The campaign breaks on Monday. This is the first time I'm speaking to an audience about Purna. And when Sanjana said 17th Feb, I was just like, okay. And then when we made the campaign, so there's a huge event happening on Sunday night that is secret. That even when it's happening will be secret, but you will get to know the next day. That's all I can say. Nobody will know except the people who are taking part in that event. So there's a huge event taking place, and it'll track across the whole country. And that's when the campaign breaks. But I'm here, so I thought, what the hell? Let's honor the commitment and let's do this. So, thank you. Thanks. It's a great story. Even if you had made it, I'm not joking. Anybody, it's just a great. Listen, 13-year-old girl becomes youngest to climb Mount Everest. If it was a fiction story, you would have said, "Sharam karo yaar, 16 to banao." Obviously, yeah. Obviously, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. She should have died. There's no question she should have lived. I asked her. I said, "Purna, the real Purna." I said, "Purna, you know, कैसा लगा?" She said, "Sir, बहुत मुश्किल है सर." I said, "क्यों? फिर तुमने किया क्यों?" She said, "सर, मुझे दिखाना था कि लड़कियां कर सकती है." She just wanted to show that because she's seen misogyny, patriarchy, oppression of the nth degree. You can't even step out of the hut. And a fierce-minded girl has questions. So this was her only way out. This was her only way out. And yet, after she becomes the youngest girl in history, not to take a photograph, but to climb Everest, there were still murmurs as to why is she getting married. It wasn't enough. 14 साल की हो गई है. हमारे गांव में कल को 15 हो जाएगी. Still, now she's starting to be an IAS officer. Look, obviously, all of that. But even then, what does a woman have to do? It's physical and mental. She's become an IAS officer. Anybody can become, yeah. But can you do Punjab? She's climbed Everest. What do you want from this girl? None of us have the mental ability to climb 32-step floors of Oberoi Towers. Forget physical. Look what this girl has done. In her eyes, there is the wisdom of a 90-year-old. She saw 9 dead bodies on Everest. I said, कैसा लगा? उस वक्त थोड़ा सा डर लगा सर. She said, you cross death. You hallucinate. Most people climb with a companion who doesn't exist. Otherwise, you'll go mad. At 8,000 meters, your body begins to die. Biological fact. At 8,000 meters, in those 12 hours, if you don't go up and come down, you will die. Your body can withstand 12, maybe 18. Who's seen the Hollywood film Everest? Or read anything? In 18 hours, you will die. So your cells begin to die at millions a minute from 8,000 meters up. The human body cannot survive there no matter what you do. Oxygen, no chance. So the idea is to go, you know those old games we had as kids, touch and come back. That's the idea. 20 minutes on the summit, back. Of course the weather changes, that's another story, but physically, touch and come back. Touch नहीं होता है तो वापस आ. 10 गज भी अगर कम रहे वापस आ. Don't be greedy. So that to climb with nobody. She climbed in 9 hours. The 20-year-old Dalit boy with her took 12 hours. She started at 9. At 6 in the morning, she summited. And Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar, the mentor who had sent her, not trained her, but he was the mentor of the schools, he had told the team to call every hour. So at 9 o'clock, he sat in his room, in his veranda outside. I've been to his house, very modest house. And 9 o'clock, the phone rang. Sir, hum nikal rahe hain. Good luck, good luck. 10 o'clock, sir, we have come to this point. Good luck, good luck. 11 o'clock, no phone call. 12 o'clock, no phone call. 1 o'clock, no phone call. 2 o'clock, no phone call. And he said, I knew she had died. I knew she had died. This girl had died. The Sherpa, this girl, and that boy had died. And the first thought in my mind was, forget about my career. My career to gone, the department gone, Telangana, Andhra's reputation gone, nationwide, worldwide. The ethics of this debate, in any case, requires conversation. Forget all that. I said, what will I tell her parents? Because I can't bring her body back. Above 8,000 meters, you can't bring a body back. This weight above 8,000 meters is the size of this whole shelf. You throw your toothbrush away at Camp 3. Last camp. So he said, two tribal parents trusting in me. I'll just have to say that your daughter's dead and you'll never see her again. He said, that's what I just was grappling with that reality. And he's a cop. He's dealt with Naxals. No, not Naxal. He's dealt with a Naxal problem. It's a better way of putting it. So for 2-3 hours, he just thought about that. And then the phone rang at 6. No, the phone rang at 7. They had summited, come down, enough time to get signal on satellite. And she said, sir, mere kar diya. This 13-year-old girl. And what's astonishing is that we don't know about this story. It's just crazy. When I was shooting this scene, I was in tears. Because it's just everything that this country does to hold women back. Everything, every moment, every step, every hand on a bus, every caress by a tutor, every step of the way to hold this women back. This girl just stuck, just went. Anyway,
What was the day when she achieved this?
25th May 2014. It's just recent. Yeah, she's 16 years old now. 25th May. 25th May 2014.
So, were there any cinematic references, especially of the Indian films that you took in?
So the question is, were there any cinematic references inside my movie?
No, I started thinking about this from the very vivid description that you've given about the problems you faced in finding the location, going there and shooting there. So did you actually have any cinematic references from Indian films earlier made?
No.
Which you would have seen?
Do you? Does anyone have a reference from any film in India about you can start saying Malgudi Days for the village bits if you want. I mean, because the film starts like Malgudi Days.
No, I mean the mountains.
Nothing. Kuch hai nahi. It's all, pardon my language, but non-existent or substandard. There's not, where? Apart from a few people rolling in the snow. No. Kuch hai nahi. But I knew once I watched a fantastic 5-part series called Everest Rising, which released worldwide on National Geographic and never released again. They're holding it close. Those guys, in fact, gave me the footage, unreleased footage. You see that one when it comes out. That was my inspiration. The way, I mean, it's amazing. You have to, I mean, I can't say you have to try it once. You just have to, it's unbelievable, the mental and physical torture you put yourself through. For what? Just reaching 8,000 meters. Mallory reached 8,500 meters in 1925. In jeans and a t-shirt. The equivalent of a jeans and shirt. What did they have at that time? 50s they began to, the Swiss and the English began to wear stuff. This guy went up in like thick shirt, jeans, which basically means that we would die in Darjeeling in jeans and t-shirt. And this guy was at the highest point on earth. He was 400 feet short of Everest, the summit, or 500 feet short. People say he went and came back, and that's the urban legend. But even 8,400 feet, it's completely bizarre. It's crazy. But this movie, I should prepare you for, is the journey from the tribal village. What was the crisis? She was not very motivated earlier. Which child is? To a point of motivation, to the school, with some freakish coincidence, to this. They started dramatics, choreography, robotics, drawing, rock climbing as I'm improving the schools, my character, so let's give them some hobbies. This was a hobby. But the guy who was teaching them turned on and said, just like the story of tribals in Odisha who have become unbelievable hockey and rugby players, the Indian rugby women's team has 6 tribal girls. Out of 10. Out of 10. I've watched them play. It's unbelievable. Just like that, this guy turns on and says, they're unbelievable climbers. Which upon the guy says, what does unbelievable mean? I mean, great. I mean, A+. He says, no. They can climb mountains. He says, what does mountains mean? He says, 15,000. What does that mean? Tell me, I don't know. Darjeeling. Okay, send a few kids. I've got some money in the kitty. Sir, they broke the national record in Darjeeling. These tribal kids went up there shivering. They have not prepared. It's like that whole, when Bombay becomes cold for one day, some orange muffler comes out, some yellow sock comes out, somebody's putting anything to keep yourself warm, 14 newspapers, because we don't know this thing. So 15 people are stranded somewhere, shivering on Antop Hill. You know how it is, right? So they went to Darjeeling and they were utterly unprepared. And then they broke the national record. They must have run for their lives to keep themselves warm. So they just hiked up this mountain, 17,000 feet, broke the record and came back. The Indian Army said, you're back? They said, yeah, we're back. Can we get something to eat? That's when these guys said, possible? Then Ladakh happened. So numbers went 60, 30, 15, 8, and then 4 were chosen for Everest. The government had money for 2. It's cost 35, 36 lakhs a kid. Finally, 2 were asked to stay back. The next year, it never happened. But yeah. How has her life changed? How has Purna's life changed since? Some ways, not at all. Some ways, and some ways exponentially different. So her mind has changed. She's become fearless. She's not anti-man or anti-India, nothing. She's pro-everything. It's just that she's understood that there are things to do in this world. So she wants to become an IAS officer because that is her best way of understanding right now how to change the world. Her understanding of how to change the world might be different later on, but her will to change the world will not go. So she'll find different ways to do it, or she might just stay with this. Her parents still look upon her as the 16-year-old kid who is, I don't think they fully grasp what Everest means. Maybe now they have because there's been a fair amount of publicity there. But they're yet to, when they see the film, I think they'll grasp what she did because there's no footage. She came from the China side and the Chinese mountaineering army has the footage and they haven't released it. There are only photographs of Purna on Everest. There's no footage, which I wish I had, I could have used or at least in the making of and stuff. So in that respect, her life she has changed. You can't recognize her. No, her clothes are the same and all that. But she rides a bike. Yeah. She's bought a bike. She rides it. She's, She's, speaks English. Not very fluently, but she's studying to learn how to speak English. She expresses her thoughts. She takes time. She understands. She works hard. Things that she didn't do before. She's still a daughter, but if you pushed me to say it, I would say she's a woman first and a daughter next. in the social context, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's the way it should be. I want to be a boy first, or a man first, and a son next. You know, I want to first belong to this, and then belong to one person's image of me.
One question. You mentioned that you had directed before, and as you speak, we all can see that this has been a project very close to your heart. How would you compare your journey as a director on Purna? Like, how has it evolved you as a person? Like, what have you learned?
So what have I learned on the journey of this film? First,
About yourself.
somebody who saw Everybody Says I'm Fine. Anybody here?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one person. So there are two. Three. Okay, good. So 4. Yeah. I've trained my sister to put her hand up. There she is in the pink. So the first thing somebody said who saw both films is how much I have grown. They meant as a human being. First I thought as a director, my skills have improved. And that, there's no question. The skills of the two directors is unrecognizable. Somewhere the imagination is still the same, but the subjects are so different that you can't recognize that the same guys made the same. It's just, you can't make the connection. But the fact that this person says, look how much you've grown, and look at the way you've made this film, would that Rahul have made this story in this way today? He said, absolutely not. The way you look at what it means to be a girl, to be a child, to do sport, life and loss, and what is victory, and what is reward, and what is humanism, and what does it all mean? He says, this 16 years, the journey you've taken as a human being, and the lessons you've learned, both experienced and felt, have been terrible and beautiful. And everybody goes through the same lessons. It's what you take out of them. So I've taken this, you might take something else, and it shapes you into that kind of person. You see an elephant and you take the idea that I should walk lightly on my feet. I see an elephant and I should take the idea that I should always lead with my sense of smell. No, right? So what you take out of it is what makes you the human being different from if we both go through the same experience, right? So, but to answer your question directly, what I was before the making of Purna and what I am after making of Purna is pretty much the same. The only difference is that I have seen, it's not a, look, there are good people everywhere, there are bad people everywhere, there are selfish people everywhere, there are generous people everywhere, there are negative people everywhere, there are positive. So in my journey as a producer, through the labyrinth of studios, commercial partners, all of that stuff, I forged a path for myself, which is I will always speak the truth and I will always be generous in my dealings with another person. When I'm talking about a deal, I will be generous, but I will always speak the truth. So I think in that respect, what I have been even before the film has helped me enormously and is helping me today, right now. What is the pressure of releasing a film in 40 days compared to playing Kazakhstan in rugby? They're ranked 37th in the world and you're ranked 83rd and you're going to face death for sure. No question, because they're all 6.5 feet tall and they look like Rasputin. So, you just learn to put things in perspective. But I think my learnings, the actual film, I can do it again. The physical madness and the emotional riches and the mental gymnastics, I can do again. I'm okay with that. I would do it.
Would you like to write a book on making of Purna for the benefit of society, for women empowerment?
I would love to. And there have been many times in my life where I've said, I'm in the middle of the tsunami in the Andamans. Nobody else is here. And I've spent 11 years here. Where's my book? Or I've spent 11 years representing India in rugby. Where's my book? And I keep saying to myself, I can't do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the inclination. I would much rather make Purna than write about the rugby experience. I would much rather play rugby than write about the tsunami experience. I would much rather help people affected by the tsunami than write about the fact that I was you know what I'm saying. So I would much rather move on to the next experience, not selfishly, but because I can give something to the world that way, as opposed to writing. But it would be a great book. There are 4 or 5 books in my life, not because of, but I've been in places, but there would be unbelievable books.
You can make a voice book.
A voice book, easier. Yeah, what are they called? Audiobooks.
Audiobooks, yes.
Yeah, somehow I'm a bit snooty about books being literate, and I also think I can't write. I think people can write. People can really write, or others can just write. So Amitabh Ghosh can really write. Yeah.
How easy or difficult it was to develop the script for the film?
I think that so when you have the first bite of chocolate mousse, it feels great. When you have the second bite of chocolate mousse, it feels good. By the third bite, you're not tasting it actually. Seriously. You should just have 2 bites, or do like I do, have 1 bite, swirl it around and spit it out, and you're done. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. The rest of the time, your eyes and your teeth kick in. You focus on texture and on sight. So, what was the question? It was a great answer I was giving.
How easy or difficult it was?
Yeah, the script.
to develop the script?
So with the script, what you have to do is you have to eat the script and then wash your mouth and eat some Karela after that for a while, and then come and eat the script again. You cannot sit with this, because by the third bite you lose all objectivity. So you read it once and then walk away with your first impressions to work on, and then go away and drink beer or play football or watch Donald Trump walking himself to an impeachment in the next 6 months. So you do those things and you come back to the script. You don't stay with it. You have to wash, you have to Listerine your head and then get back into it. I've used the word Listerine because they're sponsoring the film, so I had to bring it in somewhere. So I just buried in here. Yeah, you have to do that. You really have to go in there and pest control your mind and come out of it again. Like script control, put that thing. So don't go back to it if you still have some remnants of the thoughts or the tunes of your head. So it takes a long time. Some people can do it the next day. Some people can, the next day they can go back into it and freshen up. I tried, I was fooling myself. When I was a step away, I was like, you come back and say, who are you fooling? Yeah, this doesn't work. Just doesn't work, take it out. But it has that lovely moment when forget the moment, the scene doesn't work. It happens in editing also. You edit and you think that you can stay with the edit every day. You can't. You have to walk away a mile, which is why I'm so happy I don't live in the film world. I live in this side of Bombay. I'm so happy it gives, I'm immersed in the intestines of Andheri East and West, and then I leave, as I have left today, and I have to go back to Andheri West right now for a music session. So, background music. So anyway, yeah, so the answer is, it's a long process, but it's a process which is humbling, because you think you have the capability of staying with it, you're harming the script. Stay away, come back. Stay away, come back. At least that's how it worked for me. Yeah.
How is the 13-year-old change you as a sports person, considering that rugby is a difficult sport?
No.
Mentally.
No. I mean, mentally, if you ask me, can I do Everest? Probably. I've been through shit and back. Broken my nose 4 times, broken 6 fingers, almost lost my sight with 200 pieces of stones in both my eyes. And these are only rugby injuries. 76 stitches on my face. Broken my ankle. Knee operations 3 times.
That is the reason you look so good.
Look, Botox twice a day after meals. That's it. Yeah.
You were playing 2 in 1, right? So, like, you were playing 2 in 1 role.
Yeah.
While, making this whole movie. So how did you keep yourself calm? Because it would have been a mental battle inside your mind. How did you?
I also acted in the film. I've also done the music, the production design, and I'm just joking. I've only directed and produced the film, and I have a fairly large role in the film, but way in the background. Fatigue, were you asking me about? No. We all play 3 roles a day. Dutiful son, harami boyfriend, loving or tyrannical boss. It happens every day. We do it all the time. So you do it all the time. We're all actors, yeah. You're acting right now. I'm also acting right now. Except my acting is better than yours because you think I'm not acting.
Are you in touch with that girl?
Yes. She's seeing the film with her tribal parents on 24th March. In Hyderabad, we're having a big screening. So she's going to be driving down from March. She's going to be driving down. We're going to drive her down from her school in the village, and she's going to come with her parents. I've said bring everybody. There'll be 10, 20 of them.
Okay. You're also going.
I'm also going.
Great.
Just want to say one thing. I think it's the Japanese, I'm not sure, that they say that the greatest honor you can do to a person is to listen to them. So thank you for according me that honor today.
Okay.